Hello, everybody. In this episode, I'm going to read through the first episode of the Burn blog series. And it's interesting because my coloring is a little red, so it looks like I've been in the sun, but actually, I think it's just the lighting in here. Anyway, couldn't get it perfect, but that's okay because we're going to get right into the burn. And I want to start at the Centric website. Our new landing page actually features the theme of the burn, dual token currency, burning tokens every hour until CNS reaches $1. And then it shows the two tokens, the Centric swap token, as well as the CNR token. And if we click over to the blog page, you click on the first episode of the Burn blog series, or the Centric blog trilogy about the burn, Robots Rise. I'm going to be reading through this today, and if I have anything to throw in, I will, but I read through this before hopping on camera, and it's really good, and I probably won't have to add much because it's so good. But I'm going to read through it. The Burn Explained, a Centric blog trilogy, Robots Rise. Have you ever pondered what the Centric burn is, which tokens are burned, or how and why they are burned? Then your confusion ends today. What's up with the burn? Anyone hanging out in Centric land for more than a minute has heard references to the burn. Posts on our Twitter and Telegram celebrate token burn milestones with zeal. Investors geek out over the burn like fans cheering for their favorite sports team. Perhaps the concept of burning tokens strikes you as counterintuitive, something akin to setting perfectly viable dollar bills on fire. Yo, put down that Zippo and step away from the crypto, bro. We've come across community members scratching their heads over questions like the following. Which tokens are burned? How are tokens burned? Will some of my tokens be burned? What difference does the burn make? Why is everyone so darn excited about the burn? If you're one of these head scratchers who has pondered these questions, your confusion ends today. This 3-episode blog series will share everything you need to know to properly geek out about the burn with the biggest crypto nerds on the block. And if you want to read it on your own, you can go to centric.com/blog and you'll look through the Burn blog series. And it's really a trilogy. Why 3 episodes? Because it's a trilogy. And trilogies are epic. And episodes sound way more epic than posts, right? Come on, ever heard of Lord of the Rings, Star Wars? Everyone knows only the original 3 of that franchise count. Heck, even Back to the Future. Film references aside, we also decided to break it up because there's a lot to take in. Learning experts like Dr. Barbara Oakley recommend a chunking approach rather than trying to learn something new in one fell swoop. If it starts sounding like a lot of work, be assured we'll have fun along the way. No math, engineering, or accounting degrees required. We'll explain everything simply on this journey. We'll use examples like apples and bananas. We'll introduce you to highly trained robots who want to take over the planet. You'll meet a maniacal, rule-obsessed bean counter named Peg and learn why we keep her around despite her off-putting temperament. If that's not all, you'll meet pampered cryptocurrency tokens convinced they've experienced the best life has to offer. That is, until they meet their eternal reward after a life of faithful service. Once you've read and digested the epic trilogy, it will be like you've learned the secret handshake of the Centric community. No hazing required. If you're ready to get warmed up to the power of the burn, we invite you to shake off the doldrums and step into the hero's journey. Fate is coming. Read on, because there's no time to waste. It's time to wake up and smell the burn. Disclaimer. If you're looking for super technical tokenomics, you might be disappointed. But if you'd like to gain a better understanding of how Centric works and don't mind having a little fun along the way, you're in the right place. So what's burning? Let's start with the basics. Which Centric tokens get burned or burnt, if you prefer? The short answer is both Centric Rise CNR and Centric Swap CNS. First, let's look at some of the language we use when talking about moving from CNS to CNR and vice versa. You've heard people talk about converting or swapping their CNS to CNR, or maybe exchanging their CNS for CNR. What really happens during these conversions? Are tokens forced to give up their religious beliefs? Nope. Are tokens actually transformed from CNS to CNR and vice versa? Spoiler alert, no again. When someone converts CNS to CNR, they are interacting with the Centric Rise Smart Contract. But what the heck is a smart contract? Hey, stop right there. You claimed this post was going to explain everything in the simplest of terms. You're already dropping your fancy pants crypto lingo. What is this smart contract of which you speak? This smart contract is a new term for you. Here's a simple explanation as promised. Some might say it's an oversimplification. Fair enough. We think it's close enough to be helpful. So let's proceed, shall we? A smart contract is a computer program designed to perform a particular function or set of functions. It operates with the basic logic, if X, then Y. Think for a moment of a real-world contract between two parties. A contract outlines an agreement, e.g., I'm going to pay you X amount of money. In exchange, you're going to give me Y. Perhaps Y is your car or your house or the assets of your business. A smart contract self-executes. Once it's been triggered, it enforces the terms of the agreement. If the contract has been properly built without bugs, loopholes, or other security vulnerabilities, there's no chance the other party taking the money and running. Perhaps you've heard the term trustless used in explaining blockchain technology. Smart contracts demonstrate an aspect of the trustless nature of blockchain. It makes trust between two parties unnecessary because the contract automates and enforces the terms. No trust required. Let's look at another simple example. Let's say there's a smart contract designed to exchange apples and bananas. Imagine the contract specifies a 10-to-1 relationship between bananas and apples. The contract might specify some parameters like 1 apple can be exchanged for 10 bananas, or 10 bananas can be exchanged for 1 apple. Give the contract an apple and boom, here are your bananas. Or present your bananas and thank you, here's your apple. Smart contract. Smart, right? 1 apple equals 10 bananas. We're not aware of any smart contracts designed to trade apples and bananas, but if you find one, let us know. We'd totally trade an apple for 10 bananas. Hashtag potassium maximalist. Meet Mr. Smartbot. If you're the more imaginative type, think of a smart contract like a robot trained to execute a single task. It could be multiple tasks, but remember, we're keeping it simple today. Let's call him Mr. Smartbot. Can you picture our robot friend standing behind a little window like a bank teller? Mr. Smartbot doesn't care who approaches the window. This trusty little fella is going to execute exactly as he was trained. Go ahead. Just try to slip him a few extra bucks for a bribe, or point a gun at his head and threaten to reduce him to a pile of circuit boards. Your trickery won't deceive Mr. Smartbot, nor even tempt him to go rogue. Fear is not part of his programming. He won't even flinch. Yep, He's going to stay on task and do exactly as his maker's protocol trained him. For the parents among our readers, sounds like your kids, doesn't it? By the way, not only is Mr. Smartbot at the teller window serving you, but look to your left and now to your right. Do you see them? There are thousands of Mr. and Mrs. Smartbots standing at the ready. Their sole mission in life, handling the transactions of the customers that show up, always with a smile. No need to stand in a long line. No waiting for someone to return from their lunch break. Nope. Just a long, long line of indistinguishable Smartbots. Oh no, we're outnumbered. They've all had the same training. They all live, but do they live? Are they alive? Solely to perform their one special trick or bag of tricks? Enough with the dystopian sci-fi. Let's return to the Centric verse. Converting tokens. As we said, some converts, and you know why that's in air quotes, right? CNS to CNR, CNR to CNS. They do it by interacting with the Centric Rise Smart Contract. This is true whether they are using the convert function on the Centric web wallet, or if they're interacting with centricswap.com or bsc.centricswap.com for those with tokens held in an external wallet. What does the smart contract do to convert CNS to CNR? We're glad you asked. When a user converts CNS to CNR, the smart contract does two things. First, it burns the CNS out of existence. Poof, the CNS is vaporized. Second, it hands back CNR in an amount equivalent to the CNS provided. Bye-bye CNS, hello CNR. When we say the contract burns the CNS, what does that mean, like technically? Every blockchain has a burn address. Excuse me. Every blockchain has a burn address. Any tokens sent to the address are as good as dead. They are rendered useless, irrecoverable, from now to eternity. Think of this like a black hole on the blockchain. And please don't get all sciencey on us about the properties of black holes and why that's a bad analogy. As you may know, Centric is both decentralized and censorship resistant. These are two more blockchain buzzwords, but suffice it to say, holders of CNR and CNS can convert freely between the two tokens in either direction. So let's take a look at the conversion in reverse, shall we? And the other way around would be back to CNS from the CNR. What actually happens when one converts their CNR to CNS? Little Johnny waves his hands with vigor, crying, me, 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 me. Yes, little Johnny. The CNR is burned out of existence. Nice try, little Johnny. Let me explain. When you convert this, you're from CNR, the smart contract mints or prints, if you like, CNS in exchange for your CNR. That's right, you get shiny new CNS tokens. These are not some old coins that have been kicking around, circulating on the street. No, we're talking about germ-free CNS, never been touched by human hands, straight from the CNS mint and into your wallet. CNS with no hand sanitizer required. But you ask, if the CNR is not burned in exchange for minting CNS, what does the smart contract do with it? Excellent question. Let's take that up next. CNR goes on vacation. Recall that we said anyone holding either CNR or CNS can convert between the tokens at any time in either direction. Converting from CNR mints or prints CNS. Minting and printing means the same thing. However, CNR cannot be minted. Centric began with an initial supply of 1 billion CNR tokens. After that minting, no more CNR will be created, ever. The limited supply is quite different from some cryptocurrencies. as well as fiat or government issued money, where new currency is added to the supply all the time. To get an idea of the scale, consider the static, often repeated in crypto circles, that within a 10-month period back in 2020, the US government printed more than 35% of all dollars in existence. But I digress. When a holder of CNR mints CNS, the CNR goes on a little vacation to a secure location. The smart contract holds it securely in quarantine to ensure the holder of the minted CNS, including any future holder of that CNS, if the original holder sells or otherwise transfers it, will always be able to redeem the CNS for CNR. The contract takes the CNR and locks it up for safekeeping, ensuring future redemption. We realize the word quarantine may not sound as pleasant, may not sound so pleasant as we emerge from a global pandemic. But don't worry, the CNR quarantine is a magical place. Think of it like an all-inclusive resort on an island paradise, surrounded by gigantic, impenetrable walls to keep the pirates out. The CNR in quarantine still grows hour by hour as it spends lazy days lying on the beach, feasting on 3 delicious meals a day, hobnobbing with all the other delightful CNR tokens, soaking up the incomparable pleasures of quarantine. Whenever the holder of CNS wants to reunite with their beloved CNR, they can do so because the CNR has been safe and sound in quarantine. After some R&R, those CNR tokens will be refreshed and ready to get back to work for you in the real world. So let's do a recap. We've introduced the burn, but we've only scratched the surface. First, we demystified one of the buzziest buzzwords in the crypto space, the elusive smart contract. We've learned that when a CNS holder converts to CNR, their CNS tokens are burned. We've looked at the reverse, converting CNR to CNS. We saw that CNS is minted and the CNR is happily locked up in quarantine, awaiting future redemption. We've alluded to CNR burning, but haven't quite covered that yet. Why the suspense? We aren't trying to be evasive. It's just that, well, understanding the fundamentals of CNS and CNR is a necessary prerequisite for appreciating the burn of CNR. There's still more to learn. And since we've already covered some good ground in today's episode, we'll cap it here with some closing thoughts and a preview of the next episode. A preview of coming attractions. If Centric and blockchain in general has been a bit of a mystery for you, hopefully things are starting to slowly come into focus. We're getting closer to the brink of discovery, to beholding the beauty of the burn. If you're feeling a bit overwhelmed or concerned that you won't be able to follow it, fear not. Hang in and we'll get you over the line. Feel free to take some time to digest today's episode. Read it again, ponder it, reflect. Next week, we'll introduce the next episode and here's what you can expect. In episode 2, we'll start off by introducing the Centric protocol. We'll look at the protocol's notorious and temperamental gatekeeper, PEG, the biggest bully on the blockchain. Your study will be time well spent, and you'll soon be primed for a whiff of the burn smelled round the world. That's right, the hourly burn of CNR that makes Centric holders across the globe go wild. After reading episode 2 and 3, the concepts will click into place in your mind like Legos. You'll find your olfactory nerves firing up as you develop a smell for the distinctly delicious aroma of CNR hitting the incinerator. Trust us, there's nothing quite like it. And if you want to join us, you can go to centric.com/blog, where you can already read through episodes 2 and 3, and you can continue on the journey on your own, or you can stay tuned for the next episode. If you want to talk about the burn and what you've learned so far, you can share your questions and comments on Telegram and Twitter. #BurnTrilogy. Again, #BurnTrilogy. And with that, we're going to wrap it up for today. All the best. And don't forget, Centric is a dual token cryptocurrency system, burning tokens every hour until CNS reaches $1. Take care.